It's the man YSN, and you're listening to YSN Radio. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Y'all know what time it is, man. You're rocking with the man YSN, and you're tuning into the episode of YSN Radio, the coolest podcast in the South. Got a very special guest on the line with me right now, man. This guy is super busy. If you haven't heard him, you definitely have in the background, or you heard some people he's worked with, man. He's been with some paired along with some heavy hitters in the game, brother. Talking about the one and only Mr. Ivory Scott is on the line, man. How you doing, bro?
Bless, bro. How about yourself?
Can't complain too much. Can't complain, man. I like the fit, man. You icy, bro. You look good. You look good. Look like money.
Light day outside.
Light day. I can dig it, man. I can dig it, man. So I see you're working on this debut album, Ebony of yours, man. How's the media run been going for you so far?
Going pretty good. We dropped the EP that's coming before Ebony, entitled Before Ebony. So it's just like a 4-song EP. It's been getting a lot of motion, you know what I'm saying, honestly, and a lot of love. A lot more love than I thought I would get, you know what I'm saying, being a new artist, transitioning from being a songwriter.
I can dig it, man. And that single off there, My Mind with Queen Naija, man. I was listening to that the other day, man. Absolute banger on that, man. I like how y'all got the inspiration from Gap Band with Outstanding. I peeped that.
For sure, Charlie Wilson, for sure. Shout out Charlie Wilson for real.
Hell yeah, man. So let's take it back to the beginning, brother. Talk about where'd you get your beginning, man? Where'd you grow up and how'd you get started in music?
I grew up in Chicago, you know what I'm saying, from the south side of Chicago. I actually started playing piano when I was 8 years old, started writing songs right around the same time. And then I moved to LA. I lived in LA for like 8 months, homeless, chasing dreams, man, studio hopping, going label to label, trying to get an opportunity. I ended up going to Atlanta, where I met Ray Daniels, and he took me to Mike Carey. That's where I got my first publishing deal. And then after that, I locked in with, you know what I'm saying, like some of my colleagues like Hitmaker, OG Parker, Cash Money AP, Taz Taylor, like some of the greatest producers in the game right now. And it's just kind of been like a rollout of history, you know, ever since.
I can dig it, man. Seems like you made the right relationships with the right people.
Man, relationships is everything in this business, for real.
Facts, man. They always say it's not what you know, it's who you know, man. And going off that point, bro, talk about the grind it was meeting these people, getting in their faces and establishing those relationships.
I feel like the first step is always like to sharpen your sword. You know, a lot of times like people aren't ready for the rooms that they step into, and then they wonder why it doesn't work out. You know, the only reason why like the relationships worked out well for me was because I spent so much time sharpening my sword, getting better at what I do. You know what I'm saying? And ultimately that's what put me in the rooms and put me in a position. So
Right. So you think that by doing that, it kind of puts you ahead of a lot of people trying to rush the process?
nah, for sure. Definitely, man. Like, and we all, you know, are guilty of it. You know what I'm saying? Who knows when you know, you always think you're ready. You always think, yo, I'm ready. This is it. You know, things that you get excited about, especially as a creative. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, I went through a lot of, you know, spells of thinking that I was ready. But, you know, when God knew that I was ready for the opportunities that, you know, that were presented to me, they happened.
Right, I can dig it, man. I can dig it, man. So you said you first started as a songwriter, man. So when did you realize you had a gift for writing songs?
Man, honestly, like I started writing songs. Like first, it started off like just writing songs just to, you know, to do it. Man, I just started to realize that, you know what I'm saying, when I was going into rooms with other songwriters and stuff like that, and, you know, my vision and how I saw writing, I just knew that I was like different from most.
Right, right. So how did you get your first big break as far as in the songwriting aspect of the game, man? What was your first big break?
Honestly, like it was when I went to Atlanta and I Ray Daniels, you know what I'm saying, took me to Mike Carey. And you know, that just kind of started the workflow. Like a lot of times, like when you get your first deal, people think like, yo, this is it. I made it. You know what I'm saying? But they don't know that like that's where the work begins. So, you know, that's when I got my first big break when I did my publisher deal.
Gotcha, man. So once you got that publishing deal, what was one of the first records you worked on?
The first couple projects that I was a part of was with Ian Dior. I did the first record strings with him and Gunna. That was like the first joint. that I started getting. And then at the same time, like it was so much going on. Like I did the record for Fireboy and Ed Sheeran, Peru, Baddest for Chris Brown and Young Blue. I did Frozen for Madonna. Like, and they just started like laying out like back to back. Like, you know, I feel like once I cracked into the industry and once people started recognizing like the level I was on as a writer, the opportunities came.
I can dig it, man. So as a songwriter, how's that process work when they like the recruiting process when a big name needs a song? Do you guys have like, excuse me if I sound ignorant, I'm trying to learn. So is there like a database of songwriters that they go through, or like how does one like come across a songwriter when it's time to get a project made?
Well, most of the time it's like your network. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the access point for songwriters is through producers. Most of the time producers have the relationships with the artists. So like, you know, if I'm working with producers like Go Grizz, OG Parker, or, you know, and they're tapped in with Megan, then that's my, you know, gate into it. So like there is a Rolodex of search. There's only a handful of like songwriters that are like really, really lit in the music business right now. But like, you know, it's going through the producers, man. The producers is the gateway to it.
Makes sense. They're the ones making the beats too, so
Yeah, for sure.
facts, man. Facts, man. So, given that, like you said, there's only a handful of songwriters that are lit in the game, man. How what's that like as far as is it like a very competitive field, the songwriting industry?
I wouldn't say it's a competitive like as I mean, of course we all compete and this is a sport, but it's more collaborative than anything. You know what I'm saying? Like I like co-writers and stuff like that. Like I have tons of situations where we come in and write songs together. Like if you check the credits on a lot of songs, there's a lot of co-writers, you know, so it's like a very collaborative thing. It's like I mean, like from my perspective, like I'm not in competition with anybody. We all got our own lanes. We all got things that we're good at. You know what I'm saying? Some writers are good at writing for female rappers. Some writers are good writing R&B. Some writers are good at writing hip hop. You know, we all kind of got our own thing. I, you know, personally just like I dabble in all things. So it's like there's never no clash or anything like that when it comes to songwriting. As far as I, you know what I mean? I don't know if they're in competition or not.
Right.
Um, definitely like it's a collaborative sport.
No, that's really good to hear, man. I didn't know if it was like, damn, he got to write for ah. I needed that
You know,
record.
listen, if you ain't got haters, you ain't doing nothing at
Right,
all.
yeah,
So
right. If you ain't got no headers, you ain't popping, boy. I can dig it, man. So,
that's
I like the like this is actually the first time I actually got to interview a songwriter, so I'm actually very excited about this, man, because I feel like in especially in hip hop, R&B, everyone knows songwriting is very prevalent in R&B, but in hip hop is still like a stigma behind that,
yeah, for sure.
behind having writers, man. So as this from a songwriter's point of view, do you kind of feel like you ever seen that meme of the black figure in the corner laughing with the cigarette?
Yeah,
While the rapper is like anytime like a rapper gets exposed for having songwriters, man, how do you as a songwriter, how does that make you feel knowing that, hey.
man. Honestly, like I don't really like look at it as a way like in a way like that. I think the biggest artists, hip hop, whatever, they understand that you know a collective song, like a collective collaborative song, are the biggest songs. You know, you look at artists like Drake. You know, Drake has tons of writers and different vibes. Lil Yachty's writing a lot of Drake stuff. You know what I'm saying? He understands. You know what I'm saying? Like what it takes. And then you have artists that are like I've walked up to artists a rap artist. I ain't gonna say no names, but they be like, man, I fuck with you, bro, but I can't, you know what I'm saying? I can't take no songs from you just for the, you know, for the culture, you know. And so it's like it's very different, you know what I'm saying? Different every situation is different, but like, man, listen, like this music the making hit records, it takes, you know what I'm saying, it takes a team for sure. And like a lot of times one artist can't do it.
Right. It definitely takes a team. Because that's one thing I've always thought about, because once an artist gets big, they're on every single song, man. Like every week they're on like either whether it's a feature or like a movie soundtrack. And then like you follow them, they're constantly doing shows or doing interviews and things like that. And it's
Right.
like, damn, when do you have time to record all these shit? You know what I'm saying? And every verse be different to an extent
Yeah.
sometimes, depending on who you're listening to, but like
Not
that
that
makes sense.
different. When you get the machine behind you, it's different, man. And also too, like building a hit record, there's certain components that are inside a hit record. It's like, for example, like when I did Peru, I had to really be tapped in with Fireboy and understand a part of their culture. Like, how could I write a record like Peru and not really understanding the culture? Like, so it takes that to like really attack and be a part of a record. Like, there is a formula to making a hit record. So like, you know, that it's a collaborative sport, bro. You got, you know what I'm saying? Like, best artists know it takes that.
I can dig it, man. So for the aspiring artists that may be listening to this right now, what are the components of a hit record, if you can't share?
Yeah, nah, definitely. Like, you know what I'm saying? The most important part, like, backstory, like, when I met Ray Daniels, and he didn't give me a deal the first time I met him. You know, he told me, he was like, yo, you got to work on your hooks. You know, you got to work on your hooks. So I went back to the drawing board. I worked on my hooks, and then I got another opportunity to meet him again. So like, you know what I'm saying? I would definitely say, like, you got to make sure their hooks stick. You know, I feel like the first time somebody hear your hook, they should know it the second time it come back around. You should, otherwise you just saying words. You know what I'm saying? You got to get, it's like the alphabet. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the most sung song ever. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because it's like, so remember, that's why they, you know what I'm saying, taught kids in that way. So you got to make jingles, man, if you want to make a hit.
All right. So catchiness is the biggest thing, is pretty much what you're saying.
But man, like, for sure, people like what they know. They like familiarity.
Facts. So when you're working with artists like these big names like Chris Brown, Ed Sheeran, well, what's that process like? Does it put more pressure on you since these are veterans in the game?
Man, honestly, no. You know, I feel like the more challenging thing is working with artists that people don't know. You know, if I do a record with Chris, you know, Chris has his base, he has his fan base. It's gonna go regardless. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like if an artist like Fireboy didn't have a record or anything, then it's like way more of a challenge, you know, to create the right record. Like, I don't really like, some people get in situations like that where they're like, oh, it's Chris Brown. But I'm just, listen, if I'm in the room, I'm as important. You know what I'm saying? If I'm in a room, like, you're only as good as your last hit. And
Right.
if I'm in a room, trying to make another one. So I'm never looking at it like, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, this Ed Sheeran. You know what I mean? I'm just trying magic.
I can dig it, man. I like how you said that. If I'm in a room, it's time to make another one.
For sure.
I can dig it, man. Speaking of hits, bro, working with big names, man. I've seen that you have the opportunity to work with Beyonce on the Renaissance album, man. You actually had credits on Thick. That's one of my favorite songs out the album, brother. So talk about how that record came together.
Man, the crazy thing is that we did that record so long ago. Like, Hit Boy started making that beat, man, more than like 4 years ago, bro. And they sent me the first record. They sent me the first reference to that record. And I was like, I instantly was just like, yo, the Thick was the first concept that I came up with. And then I went to LA, and it was like a session for B. And I was in there working on Thick, and she walked in. And I promise you, dude, when she walked in the studio, like, I could just feel like a presence. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know how some people just got that energy. And you know, she loved the record. So, you know, that rocked my world. But I played it cool. Like, she was just an ordinary old, you know what I'm saying? But no, that was legendary, right?
All right. I'm sure she appreciated the ordinary treatment for sure. I feel like I
For
feel like people
sure.
once they get that famous, they're so used to people like fawning at their feet that they get used to that. So when people treat them normally, like they're super appreciative.
Weird, but it's so true. It's so true. People,
Heck,
man, we all eat shit and sleep. We all do the same thing.
nah, facts, man. It's so funny, bro, because I remember I had went out to NBA All Star Weekend, man. Shout out to Big Hef. He helped me line that up. And I
Okay.
took some say again.
Nah, I'm kidding. Yeah, that's the big homie.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so I took some of the homies with me, man. And of course we're bumping into celebrities left and right. It was like the first night. It was like a industry party, like a Def Jam sponsored party. And it was my
Yeah.
first time ever in a room like that. Like all of our first times ever in a room like that. So I was like, bro, we are clearly the brokest niggas in the room right now. But but we just gotta act like we've been here before.
For sure. Man, I do that all the time. Like I got a story. Like when I was playing football in high school, when I scored my first touchdown ever. I went in the end zone, man. I went crazy with the celebrations, dude. And when I came off the field, my coach he set me down for like 2 quarters, dude. And he said, you know, when you get in the end zone, you gotta act like you've been there before. And that I've taken that everywhere I go, man. You gotta act like you've been there before, because they gonna know.
Man, man, they can smell it on you. They can see you just like you. It oozes off you like rookie. It just seeps through your skin, man.
Right.
Oh man, that's crazy, man. So, when you first got your foot in the game and you first started getting around all these big names, bro, who was like one artist that you got to work with that actually did make you step out of body for a brief second? I was like, yo, that's so and so.
Man, that's tough. Like not obviously Madonna. You know what I'm saying? Because Madonna is such a staple for culture. Like just like being around her was just kind of like, this is Madonna. You know what I'm saying? And of course, my mom was like, make sure you take a picture and all of that. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of the definitely like the out of body joints. Like Madonna is a legend.
No, facts, man. Facts. She's definitely a part of like American pop culture history.
So,
Right up there with Beyonce, man. So,
so
coming up from Chicago, man, what was that adjustment like going to LA and then to Atlanta, culture wise?
honestly, like it was a big culture shock, but like when you come from like places like Chicago and you see like the trenches and you see the bottom, it's like you can survive anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I feel like you can survive anywhere, man. You gotta be a chameleon. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a source of survival when you come from a place like I come from. You gotta be a chameleon, man. You gotta be able to adapt to your surroundings. So I've always been able to adapt and always been able to be who I needed to be for whatever setting.
I can dig it, man. It's so funny you said that because my pops is from Chicago. I got hella family up there, man. And yeah, he's from the South Side.
Oh,
What's the neighborhood called? We were literally just there a few months ago. The hundreds.
oh, the Wild Hundreds. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah. Exactly. That's what he said. And he said
God.
this. Yeah, he said the same thing you said. He was like, we're driving through, man. This is like literally like 2, 3 months ago, man. We're driving through, and he was like, "Yeah, man. I remember I was 17. I seen a nigga get robbed right there." He was like, but he's like to your sentiment, bro. He was like, I grew up here. I saw X, Y, and Z, man, and
Yeah,
I can survive anyway."
yeah.
And so it's cool, like growing up with those with that background, man. It definitely does prepare you for the world.
For sure, definitely.
Hell yeah, man. So when it comes to the music, man, how do you channel that experience growing up in Chicago into your music?
I feel like it just pours out of you, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? When you're very vivid, I'm a very like vivid lyricist. Like when I really get into my bag when it comes to writing songs. So like, when you're writing from experience, you writing songs that get people through shit. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how I connect with it. Cause I just basically shoot from the hip, man. I shoot from the place that I can feel closest to, for real.
Right, right. So when it comes down, so every song has a different theme, of course, man. So how do you look for inspiration when it comes to jumping around to like working with these different artists? Of course, you have different subject matter per artist, man. So how do you tap into different um banks to pull out these hits like that?
I mean, honestly, like I do my research on the artist, you know what I'm saying? And then when I go in the room, I try to figure out not what they've done. Like a lot of times, like artists or songwriters go in the room with the artist and they're trying to give an artist what they've already done. I'm trying to give them a new element, a new vibe along with who they are already with their tone. And I've just always been good at matching tones. Like I listened to on the way to the session with Trippy Red, I listened to Trippy like the whole time, just studied his cadence, and I've just always been good at like mimicking cadence. So it helps me be able to bounce into different genres. It starts with the cadence, and concepts is concepts for real.
Right, man. And I guess that chameleon tactic comes in quite in handy.
Oh, for sure, it makes it easy, man.
Hell yeah, man. So at what point did you pivot from songwriting for other artists and start focusing on your own music?
Well, I did my deal like this time last year. as an artist. And I've always kind of like had the vision of transitioning from being a songwriter to an artist. It's always like been my vision. Like it's never like I woke up one day and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to be an artist. Nah, it wasn't like that. It was more so like this is the route I want to go. I saw a lot of people that I looked up to, like The Dream, like Neo, like Bruno Mars. You were talking about artists that started off as songwriters and were in the credits heavy for some of the biggest songs in the world. And then, the doors open for them to become an artist. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot. I think every songwriter wants to be an artist at some point. You know what I mean? It's just not always successful and it doesn't always work that well. But so it's always been in my vision, bro. It never like just out of nowhere I was like, yeah, I want to be an artist. Let's do
Right.
it. But I'm not. I like some of my industry peers, helped me, and motivated me to be like, it's time right now for me to do it. So that definitely helped out.
I can dig it, man. So was the transition easy?
Well, I mean, I haven't peaked in it yet, but as so far, it's been great, man. I've been enjoying it. Like, of course, I don't get to give like the artist the attention that I used to be able to give. You know what I'm saying? Like when I'm focusing on my own thing, because I feel like, especially when I'm working on my own project, I gotta tap into my own energy. I gotta tap into who I am. You know what I'm saying? So I can't get into my Chris Brown bag or my Young Blue bag or whatever. I gotta tap into who Ivory Scott is, and so that, causes me to have to neglect, working with a lot of artists. So, I
Right.
ain't in a good book right now, but I'm gonna bounce back and I'm gonna continue to write songs, you know what I'm saying, for artists. But right now it's about Ivory Scott.
I can dig it, man. So what was that process like discovering your sound? Like you said, you can't be jumping into the Chris Brown and the young blue bag, man. So what was the process like discovering and developing the Ivory Scott bag?
I feel like my sound is like a blend, like a artist, like a rapper is a rapper, right? Where like me as an artist, like I'm not just an R&B artist. I'm not just doing rap, or I'm not just doing Afrobeat. It's like a combination of all those things. So when I make records that have all those elements in it, sorta, then I know like this Ivory Scott record. When I write records that are personal to me, that affect me personal, that are like songs that like only I really can relate to and know the story of and sell, those are songs that are special to me. So I feel like along my songwriting career, I've sharpened that skill of knowing like this is an Ivory Scott record. This is an
Right.
Ivory Scott record. I feel like nobody else can do it like I can do it.
I can dig it, man. I feel like that definitely is a cheat code too. Like you have so much experience writing hit records. Once the time comes time to write your own, knock them out the park.
For sure. For sure.
I can dig it, man. So circling around to the album, man. Like you said, you got Before Ebony just came out a few days ago. Talk about the album Ebony, man. What can we expect to hear on it when it next year?
Well, definitely a diverse project. I want people to catch a flavor. I want to be the artist that anybody can listen to. So Ebony is definitely gonna give you that feeling. It's gonna be a song for everybody on there.
I can dig it, man. I can dig it. So, as you've been pushing your music, what has been the reaction like amongst your industry peers, the artists that you've written for? Are they digging it? Are they asking for features now?
No, I've been getting a lot of love. I actually have a lot of features on my project. You know what I'm saying? So I've been getting a lot of love, from the artists that I work with. That was a lot of the reason why I decided to even do an artist project. You know what I'm saying? Like definitely.
I can dig it. Would you ever see yourself doing a fully solo project?
No, definitely. Of course. Of course.
I can dig it, man. I can dig it, brother. So, Boone, I seen that you were nominated for a Grammy, man, along with Beyonce, bro. What was that like being in that realm?
I don't know, man. It's great. Grammy, that's like the championship ring, you know what I'm saying, of the music industry. So like that was definitely like a bucket list thing, man. I wish we would have got album of the year, but we definitely, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna run at it, keep running at it every year. So that's definitely magic.
Nah, facts, man. I'm surprised it didn't take it home because that's one of the biggest tours, the Renaissance tours, like the biggest tour of the year. So that's a big shock.
Yeah, crazy. That was a tough one.
That is wild to me. I think it not just like sparked that memory because I remember Beyonce had broke a record that night for like most Grammy wins of all time, but they were upset about her not getting album of the year. So
Years.
I think that raises a great point, man. When it comes to like the fan perception of music, man. So we're in the 50th anniversary of hip hop, right? 50 years of hip
Right.
hop. And all year long, the narrative that's been surrounding the genre is about how rap is in a lull period. It's not hitting the same, so people say, man. So as a songwriter and an artist yourself, whether you're in the sphere of it, what are you doing to change that narrative?
Man, honestly, like I feel like, the music business is forever changing. You know what I'm saying? There's different shades, like there's like different tones. Like there's nothing new, but everything is still like the same at the same time. Like it's forever progressing. So I feel like, it's nothing to change. It's just all about progress and evolving into like a new energy, honestly.
I can dig it, man. And there's definitely peaks and valleys and everything. I feel like if you study the lineage of hip hop, I feel like every time there was like a new wave of sounds, there has been like a dip in, I guess, because you went from the golden age into the gangster era, and then from the gangster era to what would you call like the Y2K? Everybody was flashy and bright. But like every time there was like a shift in hip hop, there was always, you always have your handful of your greats, and then the people who
Right.
are just there, and I feel like uh we're in that period where we're just sifting through the people that are just there and coming up with more greats.
Right, for sure.
I
For
got
sure.
you, man. I got you, man. So, boom. When can we expect? Like you said, before Ebony just dropped a few days ago, man. When can we
Yep.
expect the release of Big Ebony?
Yeah. Yeah, and my project Ebony is dropping top of 24. So I'm excited about that, the year of the Mamba. So, look forward to it. It's gonna be a heavy project.
I can dig it, man. Looking forward to it as well. To the people who are watching this, if they want to find you on social media, want to stream some of your music, where can they find you?
I am Ivory Scott on all platforms, on everything. Stream my new project, what I'm saying, before Ebony, man. Like let's run it up. Let's get it number one. Let's get it.
Let's do it, man. Do it, man. Make sure you stream My Mind featuring Queen Naija, man. I definitely got to add that to the rotation when the ladies come over.
Man, it's gonna get you.
Oh, big time, man. Well, once again, Ivory, I appreciate your time today getting on the pod with us, man. Best of luck to you, and I can't wait for the album to drop, man. Once again, it's been another episode of YSN Radio, the coolest podcast in the South, man. Make sure you check us out all platforms, wherever you get your podcasts from: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, anywhere. Check out the website, ysnradio.com. We've actually been nominated for an SCA Podcast of the Year. Vote for us. I appreciate it, man. Make sure you tap into Ivory Scott. He's definitely coming up. If you haven't heard him by now, you definitely have heard him before, man. And now you're about to hear him for real, man. So make sure you check out Ebony. It's going crazy, man. Until next time, same place. It's the coolest podcast in the South, YSN Radio. Let's go.